There are mountains of sketchy evidence piled up against Letecia Stauch. I don't see how she ever thought she was going to claw her way out of this one. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the most over-the-top bits of evidence. Hello Sofa Squad and welcome back to the sofa. That's the sofa back there. Mr. Roscoe's holding it down. He's probably blended into the blanket, but you see him there all snuggly wuggly. And my name is Paul. And as I said earlier, and you saw in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about some evidence. Now, again, like I said, it's almost like, where do you start, right? There's so much evidence against her. So what I wanted to do is just focus on a few key points here that we've seen so far in the trial, talk about those, watch some clips and some interviews, and listen to an interview, watch an interview, watch some testimony in the court, hear some testimony in the court, and just use those as talking points. And that's how this video will work. Now, before we do jump in, Roscoe, go on and make some room, fluff the cushions up. We have partnered up with somebody to make the video possible today. Let's go ahead and welcome them in with a good old Sofa Squad welcome. So I partnered with Geology a couple of months ago, and I have fallen in love with their products. And I want to tell you about my overall experience and some of my favorite things by Geology. But first, who is Geology? Geology is an 18-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, Oprah Daily, Hyper Beast, Birdie, Esquire, and Ask Men Grooming Awards. Geology creates simple and effective skincare and hair care routines customized just for you with ingredients that are proven to work. Their products are built around just a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. And that's one thing I love about Geology. It's straightforward, it's grab and go, it's no fuss, and it works. Their everyday face wash is so rejuvenating, and then I follow it up with my personal favorite, the Tone Control Morning Cream. I feel like it really gave my skin a glow. Now the night routine is just as easy. I follow up the everyday face wash with their amazing eye cream dark circle formula and night cream. And the face products not only work, but they don't weigh my skin down, which is a must for me. Geology's custom control hair care products are formulated with intentional ingredients that provide great hair and scalp benefits. Now, for those viewers who are in my area in North Carolina, you know the weather changes like every 5 minutes, and my scalp can feel every bit of that. My scalp goes between too dry or too oily and what seems like a daily basis, but I have found the perfect routine that I'm using now with Geology. So once or twice a week, I use their strengthening shampoo and conditioner, and then the rest of the week, I use their co-wash. Now, the co-wash is specifically formulated cream cleanser that removes buildup and cleanses the hair without the big leather, the harsh ingredients, or stripping hair of its natural oils. My scalp feels nourished and amazing. Partnering up with Geology came at the perfect time because I was literally like, I gotta start doing something, okay? And here's the thing, skincare, hair care, all that, it has to be straightforward, it has to be easy, it has to be affordable, and also most importantly, it has to work. And Geology was all those things. Right now, for a limited time, they are hooking you up with an absolutely insane offer. Use my code SOFA70 or scan the QR code on the screen, and they will give you an exclusive 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. On top of that, they are giving you an exclusive bonus offer up to 50% off on an additional skin, hair, and body products of your choice when you add it to your trial. This is one of the best offers you will see, so get it before it's gone. All right, so like I said, be sure to check out all their stuff. It's down in the description below, and let's go ahead and get to reviewing.
And how can I help?
Yes, I didn't get any confirmation about my tests I paid for.
Now, y'all might be sitting there thinking, oh, was this like continuing education? Was this her trying to like fulfill or better her life? Well, it wasn't that, I can tell you that much. Let's keep listening to connect all the dots.
We have already sent the results to your email account.
I don't have them.
Okay.
Results? I mean, Paul, what are you talking about? Surely this is a diploma. I mean, this is something good, right?
That's correct. It's identified as either an outgoing or incoming phone call, and we have the telephone numbers on both ends of that conversation.
And then were you able to look up that particular phone number that was dialed for this call and see it being associated with a particular web page?
Yes, I was.
What web page was that?
Fakepolygraph.com.
And there you have it, fakepolygraph.com. Now, for those who haven't already done this, let me just put up a little screenshot because I was like, "Brrr, let's see what this is all about." Buckle those seatbelts. I can't believe that we live in a spot in the world at this point that this is an actual thing. Let's just look at a few key points on here. And again, we're going to be looking at this in the context of this is a woman who is wanting to convince everyone around her and the world, the nation, whatever, that she has nothing to do with her stepson missing, which clearly we know this is not true, right? She has resorted to this level. Why somebody would think at all that this would even be legit or even a good idea is beyond me. So just know that as we listen to the other clips. But it says, you can get a real and fully verifiable fake polygraph test certificate proving you have taken a polygraph test. You choose the questions, location, and results. We send you a fully verified report within 1 business hour. I mean, it's interesting that you need one on the spot like that. Like you're having an argument with your spouse about cheating and you produce a polygraph test in less than an hour. I mean, I have so many questions about this, right? The fake polygraph report is emailed from a local and real polygraph company. If your partner calls the real company, the polygraph company's customer service team will confirm your test details. We have partnered with real polygraph companies in the following countries. Now, just let this also be a lesson that this is how trustworthy these things are, okay? Just let that be a lesson, right? This is so scummy. Not even getting into the context of what this is being used for in this case, right? This is a whole other level. So just know that now. So keep all this in mind. Let's listen to the rest of these clips.
Spelled TECIALYNN2006 @yahoo.com.
Okay, cool. So you said like 10, 15 minutes?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Now, the only reason I wanted to put that up there wasn't for her email, was because of listen to how nice she sounds. She's like thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to get these results. Thank you. 10, 15 minutes. Okay, thank you. I mean, she thinks that this is going to just burn everyone's biscuits and prove everyone wrong.
Unfortunately, not on this case, no. Obviously, due to our terms and conditions, it does clearly state that any sort of illegal activities or anything like that, obviously the management do reserve the right not to send the reports. Obviously, we do incur processing fees, so that's why a refund wouldn't be due.
So what he is saying in this clip is that because of some of the illegality of the questions, that it's like a no-go, right? They're not going to participate in that. Most people in this situation, okay, now, again, I say most people, right? We've already seen her behavior and how far she'll take things. Number one, would not have done any of this, right? They would not have put themselves in this position. They wouldn't have done what she allegedly did again and the whole 9 yards, right? So there's that. They wouldn't have called this company, any of this. But certainly at this point, they would have tucked tail, hung their head in shame, and never called the place back. But guess who doesn't do that? If you guessed our little defendant, well, then you win $200. Let's keep listening.
So what do you do now? Just delete it and go on about life and keep running?
Yes, we would do indeed.
I got you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now. Bye-bye.
Do you just delete it and go on with life? We sure do, man. We just take all the admittance to crimes and just get rid of it and just move on.
No, okay, so I did a report earlier, and you said you would send it to me, but when I called back, you said it was blocked, that I wasn't allowed to get the report. But then I clicked the terms and conditions, and it says you can do questions about infidelity and stuff like that.
Yes, infidelity you can, correct.
Right, and that's what I did.
Your report was about infidelity, was it?
What did you say?
So you're saying your report was about infidelity?
Yeah, like I put questions in for it, and you had to put like answers, and you said something about it being blocked.
I mean, I literally question how she got as far as she did in life. And I'm talking about by just simply not getting hit by a car walking out her front door, by being like, oh, you look both ways. I mean, I just sit here with these personality types where deny, deny, deny. She's going to sit here and try and convince the people that they're incorrect. That, you know, whatever, that's not I didn't do this. I mean, it's just like, how do you even wake up and think this stuff? Wait till we get to this other evidence where they're going to review. I mean, it just keeps getting worse. But she just doesn't stop. I mean, and you heard the gentleman say, well, no, infidelity, you can. It's, you know, you can do that. I mean, he's not stupid, right? It's like, you know, yeah, the terms and conditions say this one thing, but she's just one of these that's like, well, no, we'll just pretend that doesn't exist, or that I didn't do blank or say this. So if I just pretend that that's that way or gaslight it, then, well, it must be.
Yes. So what were your questions?
So it was about during the time that we were away inside of in another state that I talked to, and I gave the person's individual's name, Ortega. That was one of them. Then it said, "Are your eyes blue?" And I did a couple of the questions that were on the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, not sure in that case. Unfortunately, that's not what came through.
Did you hear him? Unfortunately, that's not what came through. Like, he knows, like, there's something up with this that she's not admitting. But again, looking at the context of it, she knows what she did to poor little Gannon, right? She is going to go so far as to do a fake polygraph test. It is that big to her to try and clear her name and to have that. Remember all the screaming, you know, I took a polygraph test. And so look at that context. If you've been following this case, you know, her screaming and yelling that, like, you would have thought that the police hooked her up to a real polygraph test, right? But she was orchestrating her lies and then yelling and screaming and doing all that to get out to make it look like, you know, oh no, I did this, it's real, when it's all just a facade, it's all fake. I mean, it runs all over me. It makes me so angry, but it also just baffles me. How many of these personality types do we deal with on a daily basis that we don't know we're dealing with?
Yeah, you would be able to about infidelity, but the questions that were submitted for your order were not to do with infidelity.
Yeah, I didn't submit questions that were not to do with infidelity.
I mean, she's going to tell him. She is going to tell him.
She was saying that she had passed a polygraph test, and she was continuing to purport her innocence, and that she had nothing to do with Gannon's disappearance.
I mean, and there you go. I mean, this is what it all comes down to. If she was hooked up to a lie detector test, I want to say the damn machine would melt down, like, instantly, right away. Okay, now if that wasn't enough, we are now going to go look back on an interview that she did with a news reporter, and this is in the very beginning. Now this one, y'all, if you haven't taken your blood pressure medicine tonight, go on and take it, or this morning, whenever you're watching this. This one right here, I mean, even when I was like looking at what parts I wanted to talk about, it just had me going. This is what put everyone over the edge. Again, look at this with the context of, this is someone who is supposed to be worried about finding her stepson. She can't get one word out before she is immediately trying to, you know, write her own name. Gannon is an afterthought, which he probably always was to her. So let's roll the tape.
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared.
Right off the bat, immediately no. I've seen what I needed to see. Her back is turned. I mean, I just remember seeing this when it first came out, and it's like my mouth was on the ground. And then when you listen to it in the midst of like, where is Gannon, what happened, and you hear this, the fact that she was surprised that people were coming after her is what's the true shocker, right? Notice how immediately it goes into, well, I can't talk about the case, but what I do want to talk about, I mean, this was all just a, let's, you know, rewrite my name. I can't think of the word right now, you know, but fix my name, make it good again, that kind of a thing, my image, all this. And you're just sitting here like, Is this real? Is this like a social experiment we're watching take place?
2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, you know, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying.
All this information about Gannon who's missing. And this is what we're getting from her. And notice that, you know, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, you know, and you're just like, I mean, again, I'm like, the fact that she thought this would serve her, the news reporter had to be sitting there just like, oh my God.
You know, there was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it. And I would never, ever hurt this child. And
because his mother didn't want to do it, and I would never, ever hurt this child. And then look at what she did. She went beyond that, right? And again, you're just watching this like, you know, psychologically speaking, you know, when I watch this, I study her, the hand motions, obviously we can't see her face, you know, because that part of it fascinates me, to see someone who can lie so easily about something so horrific, but also is the person who did the horrific thing. And then to pick up on these key things that come out in this, obviously vindicating, that's the word I was looking for earlier, vindicating her name, hatred towards the ex, Landon. You know, I was a good parent. I did this. She didn't want to. You know, my name will be vindicated. All this type stuff. You can only imagine what that poor boy went through with this woman.
that these people have these conspiracy theories. I guess they watch a lot of law shows and maybe they have all these theories on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon.
Knowing the whole time what she did with that poor little boy in his body. And that's what I'm talking about right there. She's like, why are you saying that? We're going to find him. I guess he watched these conspiracies and all this. And I'm just in here and I'm like, and you can put your head down on a pillow and fall asleep with those images in your mind? It baffles me. And again, and this behavior never stopped. It continues to go, probably continues to go in the court. I mean, she's over there with her head down and, you know, all that. But the fact, this is the kind of evidence right here that I'm talking about, what we've seen before and what we'll continue watching this video, and that comes out in the stand every day. This is why she could never have pled not guilty without the insanity thing, right? And even the insanity thing, some of the evidence we're going to watch, it's like, yeah, that's a no-go.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of, but then people blaming you for that child not being there?
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online.
Notice how excited she was to say that. You know, for him to see his family, but then secondly, and it goes into it. I mean, that is the entire focus. It is so disgusting and repulsive.
For all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
It sounds so fake and rehearsed what she's saying. I mean, if she's saying this, I'm just imagining listening back or thinking back over the evidence that has come out from the medical examiner and all those types of things. And this is at the hands of this woman who did that, who's then on here talking about, you know, how the public's so horrible for thinking she could have done this. And I loved him. I've taken care of him. You know, and if you notice these things with these personality types, they always need to, the savior thing, you know, I've done this and I've done this, and the martyr thing. It's all wrapped up into what we see here on display.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and you know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away.
Again, rehearsed. Does not sound natural, does not sound normal. It sounds like she is just, you know, she's more passionate about clearing her name. This sounds like she's forcing it out.
I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home.
Oh, God forbid we think that, right? I mean, God forbid we have a negative thought about her, because no way she would ever do that. I can't roll my eyes hard enough.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
I mean, can you imagine getting on TV and saying that? Gannon, when you come home, and I really hope I get a sincere apology. I mean, what just evil, evil, evil. I mean, my gosh, just imagine her around the house, like, before any of this went down, having a normal argument. The manipulation, the lying. God only knows the web she was weaving, right? I mean, her true colors come through here. And now, mind you, this is somebody who wants to say that she was, had a moment of insanity when all this went down. She had no idea. She was, this was out of her mind when she did this. Yeah, I don't think so. And now I'll tell you one thing that does not help cases, and especially ones like this, is when your own family members get up there and call you out, which her brother did a good job of, and let's see how that went.
What is your relationship with Leticia Stauch?
That's my sister.
Pretty tough for you being here right now?
Yes, sir.
Hang in there, all right?
Why, Tisha?
Mr. Lowry, do you need a moment?
Take a break for a moment.
I mean, my God bless his heart. I mean, he speaks what we all probably feel and would want to say and are saying, right? To see him break down there on the stand like that and to scream that out toward her. I mean, I get it, right? I cannot fathom what that must be like to sit across from your sister, whom obviously he's known for however he's been, alive, and to be like, to hear the horrors that this boy went through, and to be looking at your sister, your blood, and be like, this woman did this. This woman, someone that I am kin to, that I share the same, mother, father, parents, whoever, blood, all that kind of stuff with, was capable of this monstrous act. I mean, my God, but it gets worse, right? For him. Now, unfortunately and sadly for him, he'll describe the suitcase and having seen it and saying, you know what, at that point, when he was over there and he's like, what's in the suitcase? Like he was helping her pack stuff up or whatever. And he would say on the stand, the weight didn't seem right or whatever, and he knew then, like, when he saw the footage or whatever, the news about, Gannon was found in a suitcase, that she did it, right? And even then on the thing that he would say, at one point I thought she maybe had snapped, but no, not anymore. And that's the other thing that's heartbreaking that I think probably leads to this breakdown of him that we're seeing, is to come to that realization of, it's one thing if a loved one like this commits a monstrous act, and I mean, no matter what, this is going to be just, life-changing for someone, right, to come to terms with that. But I think one part of that, if it was truly a mental illness thing, there is some level of, okay, we can start to make reason, we can start to sort and categorize it like our brains seem to want to do everything. But to be like, no, this is literally a random act of pure evil, that in this case, his sister did, really could have probably been anybody. That would be just, my God. And then to think that, you saw the case with poor little Gannon's body in it, I mean, how do you wrap your mind around? And that's what these people like Leticia, these people who commit these awful acts, how many people they victimize. How do you imagine that her brother is going to move through life with this kind of stuff in his memory, right? They victimize so many different people.
We all go outside. So we get in Albert's truck and we drive. And I drove off in panic because I saw that I put the fire out. So I knew that there was no, like nothing wrong, like it wasn't gonna keep going. I drove off in panic because I just like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like we burnt the carpet, we done this and this.
Now, in this interview, she's describing what happened. And again, remember, she gave multiple stories as to what took place with Gannon and the fire and this and that and blah, 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 right? She is falling all over herself at different parts of this. Now, I wanted to put this clip specifically in here because one thing that Leticia does is she goes into this whole rant about, we drove off in a panic. I went down there, I saw the fire, I grabbed all these blankets, I put it out, I didn't know what to do. We all jump in the truck, we drive around, we come back. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And now the investigators will ask her, how big were the flames and how big was this? And, I don't remember and I don't want to say anything wrong. I mean, God knows, right? She doesn't want to, get something inaccurate. But she's going back and forth with this. And I mean, if you ask me an event of I walked downstairs and a room was on fire and how big were the flames, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to be able to guesstimate, right? I mean, that's pretty serious, right?
So that was the plan. Go to sleep, rest. He was going to stay out of school. We were going to get the carpet fixed and then go from there. Plus, some hurting.
Now, this part gets me. He was going to stay home from school and we're going to get the carpet fixed. Why was he going to stay home from school to get the carpet fixed? I mean, I get, according to her story, this is his fault, right? But it's almost like, so you're going to make him stay home to fix it? That just struck me as so weird, right? I was just like, are you sure something else wasn't going on here? Now, again, I also cannot imagine being Leticia and having to come up with as many stories and excuses that she did, which I personally just think she was trying to come up with reasonings for injuries and evidence around the house. Well, we obviously know it was a brutal bloodbath around the house, right? So you have to come up with numerous things of things that went wrong with them. The same that we heard her talking to Al on the phone, which was ridiculous in and of itself. It was just like, girl, this is not normal. This is the signs of someone who abuses their child trying to make excuses up for it. This much stuff doesn't happen to a kid by accident like this, to this severity, obviously, with what ultimately happened to Gannon. But again, the fact that she was convinced that she could talk her way out of it, that's the part that just gets me.
So I didn't see him in any kind of nothing other than the little burns that we had. I didn't see.
Where did you see burns on Gannon?
All right, so with Gannon, I just saw that. Okay, so on the top, right here, so say the shirts are here. So right here, there was a burn, and the reason for that was I think whenever he was trying to come up, it kind of burned him a little bit. I'm not gonna make an assumption. I don't really know. And as far as that, I didn't see anything else. I didn't know any other differences or anything like that. All I saw was that. I said, okay, he ran out the house, he was firing out the house, everything was normal, yada, yada, yada. Now, I'm going to let you know in a little bit why he was bleeding.
Okay.
But at that point, when you get to the Monday morning thing, I'll let you know about that.
Now, again, notice this entire conversation. Now, in a little bit, I'm going to let you know why he was bleeding. Yada, yada, yada. And then that whole thing right there, too, right? Now, also notice in the beginning when she's talking, and she's going into the burn thing and trying to describe that. She's like, I don't want to make assumptions. I mean, again, this is just obviously we know she's just saying this so she can get out of trying to say anything correctly. Now, I've noticed a lot of the videos that I've done, people are commenting saying that I personally think too, and I'm curious what you think as well, because when you start to listen to the evidence, clearly there were other people in the house, something with the fire had to happen. So a lot of people are like, we think that she intentionally burned him, and I do too, right? This whole thing of, the burns and this and that. Now, another question that I would pose to everybody that listening to the interview and things, any of this, it makes me wonder if in her mind, her MO the whole time was, they're never going to find him, so I'll act like and play the role of, he's coming home and I'll be vindicated and he'll tell everyone. And she's thinking, well, he just won't ever show up, right? They're not going to find him. Although how she could think that, I don't know. Because to me, it was so obvious now, the stuff that we know, that it was just literally a matter of time before they found him, right? And that was going to happen. So the way that she was so, they're not gonna, my name will be vindicated and all this kind of stuff. I'm just like, I can't believe she was that confident, right? And then trying to explain the injuries and stuff, and I'm just, sitting here like, well, then that makes me feel like maybe she thought they would find his body. and she wanted to come up with a reason as to why all that was there. So I do feel like something happened. I feel like maybe he was on the switch. Something could have taken place that triggered her. And again, it could have been anything. And I'm talking breathed wrong, and she went off and went into a rage on him. Now, if that involved burns and this and that and the other, but I guess what I'm getting at also is some of this information almost seems like it's too much, but then also I'm kind of answering my question as I go. Since there was other people in the house, she maybe had to come up with a reasoning of, this is why there was a small fire. This is why there was that. You know, maybe he did authentically start a little fire and that's what set her off, you know. I don't know, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that part. Now, there's just a couple more clips I want to review, so let's keep going.
How much light did you see coming off of it through the smoke? No. Okay, and that's fine if you don't know. I'm not like a professional, and I was in the moment of freaking out.
Now, this part that we're watching is her being asked to describe the flames. And when she said, well, I don't know, I don't want to say I'm not a professional, I was waiting for her to say firefighter. I was going to be like, I am done with this woman at this point.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
I wanted to end on that same clip that we watched earlier because that right there, to me, sums her up. What makes Leticia and what resulted in all of this happening, right? Because Gannon was an afterthought. Gannon was a representation of things that enraged her, whether it was, you know, Landon out, whatever. That is where this was born of, and that is where this existed, and that is where this anger came from, in my opinion. Now, of course, as I always say, I ain't no lawyer, ain't no doctor, ain't none of that fancy stuff. So these are all just my opinions. I do encourage you to do your own research, come up to your own conclusions, and then drop them in the comment section because I do love reading your comments and seeing what you have to say about all of this. So that's it. If you are still watching, please drop blue hearts in the comment section for Mr. Gannon. And we're going to keep watching and following different aspects of this trial. If there are certain parts that you want me to talk about, just, you know, drop it in the comments or whatever, and I'll check it out. So anyways, that is it. I hope everybody at the Sofa Squad is doing well. Thank you for hanging out with me and Roscoe and, well, everyone sitting around the sofas here. And until next time that we all gather around here, I'll see you soon.